Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye coverage of the 2014 elections continues. We're interviewing Ashton Kirsch of Baraboo. He's a Republican candidate in Assembly District 81. Ashton, welcome back to Wisconsin Eye.
Hey, thanks for having me back here.
Programming note, Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Ashton, the election is 5 weeks from today. Has the top issue changed from the interview pre-primary? What's the top issue 5 weeks out in Assembly District 81?
You know, I spent all my time going door to door, meeting with the good folks of our district, and the big thing, what people want, is they truthfully just want an independent mind. They want a reasonable person to go in there, you know, not to represent any interest groups, not to represent any political parties, but to be there for the people. And when I talk to folks, they've lost faith in the government. They've lost faith in elected Democrats, Republicans, and they're looking for something new. They're not looking for somebody that had a call from their party, but somebody who truthfully had a calling, who are trying to do something new, bring about common sense reforms, and start fighting for the people, and not just to be popular down here in Madison.
Well, when they say we're sick of all the bickering and fighting in the Capitol, how do you tell them you're going to make a difference?
You know, this is where, I'll be honest with you, my age comes about as a benefit. People see that I'm inherently different. I show people that I care. You know, I'm doing this to represent 100% of my district, not just the 51% that's going to get me elected. And I think that's my approach. I have a very collaborative approach. Additionally, I'm going to listen to what people want. I'm not going to doors telling them this is what I think, this is what you should believe. I'm going to ask them, what do we need in our district? I'm here to be a community servant, not just a politician, and people appreciate that. They see that I have something to lose. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and you know what? If we don't change something now, there's no way she's going to have the same opportunities that I have. And I tell them I have a faith, I have hope that our state can do better. We can be the best state. And we can really make a difference and fight for that.
Okay, let's go through some of the issues that will be up in the next state budget. Let's talk about public schools. If you're a member of the Assembly and public school aid is being debated, what are going to be your priorities? Excuse me.
You know, I went to public schools. My daughter goes to public schools. And I truthfully think the state of Wisconsin, we have the best schools in the nation. Baraboo just ranked excellent on the last report card. And we're doing well. In my district, the schools are working, public education is great, and we have some of the most amazing educators out there. We need to have a strong public school system, and my approach is different from a lot of other candidates. Too many folks are saying we need to toss money at a problem, or we need to just cut. I think we need to inject statistics, we need to bring true numbers into education, find out what works best for the students, the best interest of the children, and if we have that debate, if we have a collaborative approach, working and discussing what's best for our kids, I think we can really have even better schools.
A big part of that debate is going to be the future of choice and voucher schools. Your position on those?
You know, I think that when it comes to my district, we have fantastic schools. And we have to keep in mind that Baraboo is not Madison, and Sauk City is not Milwaukee. We have different wants, we have different needs, and our public schools are working. We have a fantastic opportunity now, though, to look at Milwaukee, to watch and learn how they're doing it, and see how that experiment plays out. But when it comes to my district, the public schools work, and if we're going to do voucher programs, I think they should be brought down to a local level, allow the local governments to decide what works best for them. I mean, this is a great tool for those districts that aren't working. And we'll see if it works from the Milwaukee test. And that should be a tool that's decided by the local level, through the counties and through the local school boards.
The Assembly Speaker Voss, though, he has said one of his top priorities, right now, as you know, there's a 1,000 slot limit on choice statewide. He wants that 1,000 slot limit removed. Your position on that?
I'd like to watch and see what happens in Milwaukee before we do any moves forward or make any changes.
Okay. The governor this summer asked that Wisconsin withdraw from the Common Core standards. Your position?
You know, I think standards are a good thing. I think we need to maintain competitiveness. We need to be a shining star. I think Wisconsin can be the best. We have some of the best and brightest students and the best and brightest teachers. I do think, however, that Wisconsin can do better. Wisconsin has proven time and time again that we do better creating standards, creating laws, than does the federal government. I believe that if we work together, if we take a common sense approach, we combine and create bipartisan standards, I think the state of Wisconsin can be more successful. Standards are great, standards are important, but I think that the state can tailor a program that works better for us.
Since we talked pre-primary, there's a new estimate. The transportation fund budget may be $600 million, $700 million short in the next 2-year biennium. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you in the primary.
Sure.
How should any deficit be filled?
No, we have a major problem. Our roads are the lifeblood of our community. They're the arteries that get our children to school, our parents, everyone to their jobs. They're what gets our product to market. And we need to have we need a sufficient infrastructure system, and we need to work to regain that. We need to have the best roads that we can. And the way that we do this is we have a common sense approach. We create this when I go to Madison. It's going to be to treat this like a businessman would, by combining the best options on the table and start prioritizing. There's a difference between what we want and a difference between what we need in road projects. And we need to focus upon what we need. And to do this, to really reclaim the fund and get things working, the best approach is to have a combined effort between long-term bonds. I think long-term bonding is important simply because we need to run these things out over the life of the project. We can't have bonding for short-term projects. And through long-term bonds, through proper cuts and through prioritization, I think we can truthfully find a real and amicable solution to this issue.
Would you not consider raising either the gas tax or the $75 license plate fee that you and I pay?
You know what, I don't think that would be necessary if we approach this right. I think we can do this through bonding on long-term projects. Obviously, you know what, bonding's tough when it comes to those short-term things, and we can't do it for short-term projects. We've taken too many loans out, and in the same way that you wouldn't take a loan out to buy your groceries, we can't do it for those short-term issues.
Let's talk about health care. 1 in 5 Wisconsin residents get their health care through our Medicaid system.
Sure.
The American Hospital Association says we have the second lowest reimbursement rate in the nation. Do you think those rates should be increased?
You know, recently, 2 weeks ago, I met with one of our biggest hospitals in our district with the leadership there. And we were talking about what was important. And that was the main issue they brought up. They said, this is what we need changed. We're struggling here. We're getting to a point where we could be similar to dentists and not accept these funds. And, you know, dentists do fantastic work, but primarily through free care. And many of them aren't even sending in to get their reimbursement because they're not getting enough back to justify it. And we need to be sure that we have sufficient reimbursement, that we provide what our rural hospitals need to be sure that they're giving adequate care. And I'd be willing to sit down and consider any options on the table.
Another issue that has emerged since you and I talked pre-primary is now there is a possibility, based on the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, that we may face a deficit in the general fund over the next 2 years. Now this is separate from the deficit in the transportation fund. So how would you approach solving any deficit in the general fund?
I think we're moving forward at this point. I think that if we need to make hard decisions, and through an approach combining correct cuts, combining revenue mechanisms, and providing for getting money back in people's wallets. I mean, we return dollars to the taxpayer. That's where it belongs. It doesn't belong in government coffers. It doesn't belong in expanding programs. It belongs when we have excess funds. I believe that it needs to go back to the people that the money actually belongs to, and that's the taxpayers of the state of Wisconsin.
The bill to legalize medical marijuana will be reintroduced next session. Now we have the states of Washington and Colorado legalizing recreational marijuana.
Sure.
Your positions on both those issues?
You know, I've read a lot of studies, and there have been a ton of recent reports coming out about medical marijuana. And it's an exciting prospect because who am I? Who is the government to deny people the use of something that may cure and not cure, but help their ailments, reduce pain, and we need to look into this and consider it profoundly to see, you know what, let the healthcare professionals make these decisions. If they think that something works, if they can prove it works, and we can see this and review more reports, then I don't think we should be standing in the way of medical progress. When it comes to recreational use, I take a different approach. I think we have a fantastic and amazing opportunity to watch those states who have brought this forward. Colorado, for example. See how it works and move forward from there. This is a great opportunity now to be sure that Wisconsin is not that state that jumps in with a blindfold on without the preparation. We're above the pack. We've always been. We're always the ones that come out there and with the right ideas, and I don't want us to get into a tricky situation.
It's an old issue, but it emerges every session in the Capitol. First offense, drunken driving. Should it be a crime, Ashton?
I don't think so. I think we have a major problem. We need a solution, and we need to act quickly. We have folks out on our roads that are putting our children, our families, ourselves in danger. And our current way of dealing with things simply isn't working. We have people racking up 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th drug driving citations, and they're still on the roads. They're still driving. My approach has to do with increasing funding to the diversionary, to the programs for the first offense drivers, to be sure that they get the education and the help that they need so that they're not doing this more, so that they know the issues. We also need to continue to look at the ride programs, outside the box thinking that keeps people off the roads. When it comes to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth offense, I do believe we need to increase sanctions. We need to do something different to save lives in Wisconsin, because I believe that if we take a collaborative, if we take a common sense approach, we can move closer to that 0 deaths in Wisconsin goal.
A new subject. Senator Schultz, who used to represent the 81st, as you know, but who's retiring, he voted against the mining bill last year, saying he didn't think the standards were high enough, and he's afraid that at some point the mining will be proposed for the Baraboo Hills. Your position on that?
You know, if this comes before me, I will vote to protect the Baraboo Bluffs. I will listen to my constituents. I will learn. I will ask them going door to door, and I will see what they want. From what I've heard, is they don't want the bluffs taken down. They do not want any hard mining in these bluffs, and I'm here to be a representative of them. You know, many of these mines are great drivers of economic growth, and we need to consider that. And through a proper balance of economic growth, of economic considerations, and environmental protection, I think that we can really move the state forward and find a proper balance.
Also, since we talked in the primary, Governor Walker has proposed drug testing for those that are getting unemployment benefits and food stamps. How do you feel about that?
I commend the state legislature for considering anything and bringing these issues to the forefront to really combat the drug epidemic we have right now. I mean, I have close family, I have friends. We have people in our district, neighbors, friends, and family that are struggling from addiction, and anything that we can do to get these people off of drugs and back into productive capacity is great. When it comes to this issue, as a constitutional attorney, I see many constitutional issues with it. I see that quite a few states have enacted similar legislation and it's been found unconstitutional. So I think the main approach should be through job training programs and through diversionary programs. If our goal is to get people off of heavy drugs, we need to invest more in our county drug courts. We need to go out and create these diversionary programs and give people the ability to get off the drugs through our help, not just by punishing them. And that's what I've been hearing throughout my district. That's what I started this campaign on. I'm showing that we need to care. We need to be a compassionate government that creates and treats those first-time drug offenders as public health issues and not just as criminals, because what we're doing now simply isn't working.
The governor also this summer proposed, we knew that he wanted to freeze tuition at the UW system schools, those 26 campuses, but now he wants to freeze tuition at the tech colleges. Your position on tuition freezes at tech colleges?
I think tuition freezes are a fantastic idea. I see our students struggling. I have a good friend of mine who went to undergrad, then he went to law school, and now he wants to go into a different field, and he's going to business school. He's working all he can. He's working 90 hours a week to be able to pay for his tuition, to be able to pay for food, and he's eating ramen noodles every night. But when he graduates, he's going to be paying down this debt for the next 20, the next 30 years. This is going to be a burden on his back and a burden to his productivity in the market. And we need to help our students to move forward and actually get those jobs that they need and not be struggling to pay down their debt for the rest of their lives. I think tuition freezes reducing the education costs for students in the state of Wisconsin and makes us more competitive on a national level to bring students here, to create jobs here in Wisconsin, and to keep Wisconsinites here in our state and not moving elsewhere to find productive work.
And then finally, do you want to highlight any differences between you and your opponent on November 4?
Sure. It comes down to experience and motivation. When I get there, I will step into office knowing how to reform things. I have 7 years of policy experience. I know how to fight to get things done. Also, I had a calling, not a call from my party. I'm running because I am going to represent my constituents, not look to political parties or special interest groups for what I need to do or what to vote on, but listen to the people I'm elected to represent. We need folks that are going to go and work for the people and not the politicians. For too long, politicians are looking to Madison for advice. I'm going to be looking to Baraboo. I'm looking to Sauk and see what we can do to really affect a positive change. Because when I talk to people, it's the people in my district and not the politicians here in Madison who are going to determine who is best to represent them. And their voices will be heard.
Thank you. Ashton Kirsch of Baraboo is the Republican candidate in Assembly District 81. The election is November 4th. Ashton, thanks for talking to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you so much.